Hello everyone, and welcome to the final episode of the bonus episodes of Xenoblade Chronicles. This episode we're going to be doing everything I haven't. Much like last episode, this one may be quite big, we'll see. We can do this from anywhere, but I'm going to come and first finish up some time attack. We've got two more time attack challenges to do, and I'm going to demonstrate them with restricted mode, and then we'll do them in kind of free mode. But even in free mode, these ones are not easy. So, we also need to grind out some Nup and Stone in order to get something off this guy anyway. So, this one weirdly is only part of the DLC, so we'll get to that later. But what we want to do is He of the Metal Face first. So we're Dunban, Charlotte, and Ricky, which is a really odd balance.
Not on Archsage expecting good record.
Yes, you would say that, wouldn't you?
Alrighty.
So, we start off against Mumkar in his deal. So, he's level 95 and we're level 90, so that already puts us a little bit on the back foot. He resists Break and Topple, and that was never really going to be our friend here, really. We want to use that Peerless Aura quite a lot, because it grants Strength Up, which is going to be very handy. And I want to basically alternate between doing Gale Slash, Worldly Slash, and then trying to do Gale Slash, Electric Gutbuster, Steel Strike. Make sure you kind of always got an aura on. You can, as I say, you can attempt to break and topple him, but it is quite difficult because he is basically resists break. He's not immune to it, 70% chance, so you can very much try to actually topple with it. But chain attacks me where it's useful. What we want to do really, but unfortunately we're not in control of it, is we want Ricky to debuff him a lot. And then slap Say Sorry on. I'm going to actually hang on to Thingy for now. No, that didn't work either. I'm going to hang on to Blossom Dance because that's quite useful. And yeah, make sure these auras are constantly thrown up. I believe there's nothing stopping you having multiple auras up at any one time. We just got to also trust to Charlotte to basically kind of do our healing for us. Might as well just hit him with the Blossom Dance. And basically, we're not in a great way. We want to finish this first phase in somewhere around 2 minutes to have a good chance for the entire thing. Because he's got two stages to this, so I'm also just trying to make sure we beat him with enough points that the Archsage will be pleased as well. Jaws of Death is also our kind of like backup strategies for if we're having problems with Dunban, so we're not doing great here, I'll be honest. Let's go forward a bit and just see if we manage to get a chain attack in. There we go, he's finally down. And now we get Mumkar himself on the ground. He is level 99, so we actually... 99, good one. We actually will have some issues kind of hitting him, but I believe he's not immune to the kind of break and topple stuff. Right, let's chain attack him, and, well, if you can topple him, do, but basically what we want to do here is do Worldly Slash. Want to get some basically debuffs on him. Headshot. And then he's got some buffs on him, so let's debuff him with Say Sorry, which with 3 times should do quite a lot. And that is your kind of trickdom, is that that series in a chain attack. Let's see if we can build that up nice and quickly now as well. As I say, remember your auras and you want to always have them on, just because it makes, if nothing else, it makes hitting easier. We're going to see if we can topple him, but there we can, there we go. Don't focus on breaking and toppling him, though, because it slows you down. You basically really need to play quite aggressively against him. So toppling is great, but topple locking is not really going to happen. I'm going to use this just whilst other stuff recharges. But at least, whether we do this or not, you've at least seen the kind of the protocol I'll use for him. So I just need to kind of keep trying that until it works, basically. He seems to have very little resistance to break and topple, which is nice. So we can just kind of wail on him. And yeah, as long as you use those combos with Gale Slash, that's kind of key to actually make sure you keep doing damage to him. Alright, oh, Ricky's dead. That's not ideal. Death is problematic in this one because chain attacks are your friend and we're going to struggle to get those up. Hopefully someone will heal me. Nope, I'm dead. This is the thing, he's also just quite hard to physically clear. Oh, it's giving me a vision even I'm already dead.
Time to die!
Well, there we got custom grand shot and it dazed us and we just fucking died.
Please to let him have it, beast.
He uses that quote from Dixon. That's quite funny. Interestingly, this art he's about to use, Super Spin, that's going to topple Dunban, works in this fight. In the last fight we had with him, he'll immediately follow this up with like Massacre Lotus, I think it is, which instantly kills us if we're toppled. We should be alright from that though, hopefully. Because it just inflicts instant death. Oh yeah, he rinses you one. But yeah, when we fought him in Valak Mountain, which is this same version, that art's just broken. It's just, instead of inflicting topple on everyone, it inflicts topple... There we go, we're up. Yeah, instead of inflicting topple on the target, it inflicts topple on Mumkar, so he just knocks himself to the ground, and it's really funny. But unfortunately, while in the Definitive Edition they did not fix that in the Valak Mountain fight, they fixed it in this one, which makes this one much harder. Anyway, we have nearly got him. Not got enough time, I don't think, to get S rank, so annoyingly I have to do it again, but at least, hey, at least I have a tactic which works. Let's finish him off in a chain attack. There we go, he's dead. I think you need to get under 5 minutes, which is hard. It's not hard. It's really luck based. This one, so I'm just gonna have to do it a ton, which is a bit annoying.
Here is little something.
Oh, was B enough for little something? Yes, it was. Cool. I'm not doing that again then, because that was awful. So this gets a new look for Sharla, which is the Resort Style 2. It's kind of cool. I like the colour scheme and generally, other than how naked it is. Actually, Sharla, in fairness, is not wearing a top anyway, which is a bit bizarre. We should probably put something on her. There we go. But yes, not going to keep that for obvious reasons. What have we not had Sharla in for a while? That is an interesting look. Right, good. I'm glad we didn't need A or S rank in order to do that, which makes me very happy. So I've achieved that. Oh, it's just, yeah, rank B or better. Cool. So, uniquely disadvantaged. Actually, you know what? While I remember, I'm just going to do He of the Metal Face in free mode, which give me with my current party, which is set up exactly as when we fought the super bosses, Shulk, Fiora, and Dunban, and we're just going to go for that same topple-locking approach, so this should be easy enough to fight. Also, because we're actually a higher level than him now, so it ain't so bad. That should be fine. Oh, it's still daytime here. Obviously, this will be better. We're at nighttime for our night vision, but it will be night soon. The time is literally based on whatever the time is when you are in the Archsage's special world. Well, that's his first form down in 1:20, which is excellent. And we've got a chain attack ready for this guy. And second form killed in a single chain attack. I think that was 2 minutes and 8, and I literally think about half of my time was spent just selecting arts in a chain attack, so that one was never going to be a problem. Yeah, shockingly, that was an S. And that gets us a decent bit of Nop on Stone. And we get Little Something. I don't know who these are for. Let's have a look. Rusty Knapsack. That sounds grim. Oh, that's kind of cool. Blue beach look for Ricky. The fish looks particularly good sticking out of that as well. I might actually switch to the whole fish, though. Nope, nope, nope. Oh, sorry, there's a cat on my lap and he's trying to tie himself around my controller. I actually sent a picture. Curse, it's quite funny. He's a very tolerant cat. But yes, we now go on to the final time attack one, which I think is technically is the hardest, but I think it's not as hard as He of the Metal Face, because He of the Metal Face is just so random. Again, we only need a B on it, but it's one of those ones where it's actually hard to beat it without getting a B. It's just about beating it. We've seen this one before because it's against the super bosses. Now we fought the super bosses. This will be much easier for our real team, but in this team, ooh, it's icky. The main thing we need to do is not be too aggressive in this first stage. We want to keep Fiora's tension up. Like getting access to Final Cross is going to be the kind of the key thing. And we don't want to fire off Final Cross if we get it. We also don't want to fire off chain attacks. So speed shift is going to be key, and we just kind of want to wail on them here. But this is going to be a hard fight. And we're basically just double wind our auto attacks and just building up chain attack. But don't spend any of it in this first wave. Well, I died. I've forgotten that Shimmering Forte has a aura spike, which completely destroyed me. Gonna focus on him first while his spike is up. And hopefully just kill him. There we go, at least he's down. We're up to full beans and we've got Final Cross ready, but I'm not going to use it, so let's kill these two now. Really? Why is that giving me a vision? Oh well. Alright, just Conflake and Draxiel now, and he's probably the easiest of these three. Right, now we're on to these next. I'm going to target Immovable Gonzalez first. He's got a spike, but that shouldn't be a problem. And what we want to do is get the old chain attack in on him, which we're nearly ready for. I really thought I had this chain attack ready. That is infuriating. There we go, chain attack up. Right, we'll open with drones, because I want Final Cross ready. That was fun. Oh, Melio, at least she's got elementals, so that's good. And then from Charlotte, we want probably Headshot for the chaining reasons. Then we'll go into Double Wind. Element from Melia again. Oh, unfortunately, Charlotte's going to break this for us, but... Well, cool, we killed it. Damn it, I was hoping Canobellas could continue that cool. Right, now let's try and take this guy down quickly. We really want to end this with better tension and drones and whatnot than we've got, so... I'm just going to hopefully just land a lot of basic attacks and double wind to build up tension and party gauge. If I can end this in high tension, chain attack ready, drones charge will be in a good way. Right, that's drones ready at least. At least this one isn't so bad. Like, he's just actually a good chance to kind of recharge everything, basically, is the old Rothbart. Yes, good. That's me ready. I'm in a good place now. Happy time. Right, now we need to focus on Blizzard Belgazas. We're actually going to completely ignore Avalanche Abbasi for now. I've used second gear, and then we go straight into a chain attack, into which I'll use my drones with high power added onto them. Excellent. We then follow that up with an elemental, then with headshot for 3, which missed. Crap. Well, there we go. As you may remember from the regular fights, Blizzard Belgazas has a really annoying topple spike, so we actually want to avoid toppling him at basically all costs. But we can hopefully just kind of get him pinned down this way. I'm going to try and be a little cheeky bastard and quickly fire off Final Cross against Abbasi to topple him. Nope, he resisted it. That was a cheeky move, which probably won't pay off in the long run. Ugh. Crap, where's Charlotte gone? Is she dead? Well, that's going to have to be a Charlotte problem, I'm afraid. Hopefully Melia will get her up. But yeah, this is where this fight gets really tough. Once you can get Belgazas down, it's actually not that bad. But you want to, yeah, no more chain attacks at this point, basically. You want to open this fight with a chain attack, but unfortunately, because Charlotte missed, it all went a bit bollocksed up for there. Let's see what we can do, but I'm not confident from here. Come on, you're right there, Melia. There we go. God, she was just standing there for ages and not getting me back on my feet. What a fanny. Right, at least now we're just down to Abbasi, which isn't so bad. I want to hold on to my party gauge until he uses something awful. I can risk restoring Melia as long as I'm able to kind of get back up. Right, let's try and hit him with some drones. Because I'll be doing a lot of auto attacks to kind of keep tension up, so actually I can, when I've got drones, I should fire them off. I ain't going to be doing chain attacks against this guy, put it that way. It's just too dangerous. Demon Purging Fire shouldn't be too bad. I mean, it'll hurt, but we'll survive it. Wow, we actually dodged a hell of a lot of that. That was pretty good. And again, just breaking and toppling isn't... It's not working with this guy generally, but especially this party just can't really break and topple. They're really not designed for it. They're not kidding when they call this uniquely disadvantaged. This should be Ultra Rare Crush 10. Yep. He does this, and it's awful. It is just going to kill me. At this point, you just need to make sure you've got enough party gauge ready for it to be revived at the end of it. Because you're just going to die here. There is no way around it. Hopefully it won't target the allies too much, so they should be alright. We've gotten down to half health, so that's alright. And I believe he doesn't have his Crazed Aura in this version. This version is genuinely easier than the actual Super Boss version, so I'm kind of using Power Drain on him quite a lot, because that brings me up while bringing him down. We should have him here, I think. Whether we've got enough to get Gubs, who knows. we can hopefully, if we can build up to a chain attack, I will use it, because now he won't use Ultra Play Bite again. Now I think that's him for the game now, so... Oh, I should have bloody second geared before. Ugh, and we saw the annoying thing with troll drones there. Because it got blocked, it just stopped. The combo will just stop if one of the hits in the combo is blocked, which is frustrating to say the least, but I think we've kind of basically got him. There we go. Cool, let's see if we got gubs from that. I only need a B, I think. Needed to do it in under 6 minutes for S rank, and I did it in 7, so... Yep, B, that's good enough for gubs. So we get little something from that. Not sure who they're for, let's have a look. They are for Melia. And that's Skimpy Beachwear, of course it is. Right, let's just do that with our own team again. The same team we used for the super bosses, so I imagine we will be pretty good for this. I hope. Same approach as last time, basically in terms of who I'm going to target in what order. Let's just see how this goes. This is going to be a bit hairy at the beginning here because we haven't got everything we need in order to... Like, we're gonna face a lot of shit at this beginning point. Well, that's one down already. At least, that's good. And as soon as we can get a chain attack up, we're fine. There we go. Cool. We're good. Now, did that also hit Conflagrant Raxiel? Because if it did, that's fantastic. Oh god, have I not got Monado ready yet? Whoops. Well, let's just kill this man anyway. Yes, it did also. Oh no, it didn't also hit him. Ah, well. Can't win everything. And now we've got a chain attack ready for into the next phase. There we go. So I'll do the same as I did last time of target the bigger lad first. Actually, what I want to do is just hit him once quickly to get my Monado gauge up. There we go. Can I break him outside of the chain attack? That would be very handy. No, he resists it. Well, let's do what we always do. Oh crap, I missed the bloody button prompt. Oh well, we'll still be fine. Unlike the super bosses as well, these ones can all be dazed. These ones certainly can. Don't know about the final two, but we've got debuff resist on as well, so we're in a stronger position to fight them than the last party was anyway. Oh, you might have noticed as well, obviously, Abasi doesn't have his instant murder fucking aura as well, where every attack he does inflicts instant death. Well, every attack you do, technically. Whoops, he's got a topple spike. I'm having a bad time here. Might genuinely need to quickly purge him, I think. Yeah, let's purge the bastard. Now, Fiora's looking a bit worse for wear, but generally... Oh yeah, get healed at the end of the wave anyway. Cool, we're fine. Right, let's just quickly charge the Monado gauge, and then also charge the chain attack, which we should have. There we go. Right, the fire. Cool, he resisted all of them. That's some bullshit. Now, this guy has got a down spike, but we should be alright. Yeah, I should have used Purge there to chain, actually. Yeah, I've got debuff resist, but not topple resist, so... I should have thought about that. That's going to make... Not topple resist, not spike resist. That's going to make this fight very tough. Guys, stop topple locking him, we're going to fucking die. Yep. Right, how the hell are we going to fight him with this team, then? This team is not a good team for... Well, I just got to deal damage to him with arts, I suppose, is what we do. And then if we get a chain... We probably should have started on Abasi, actually. Well, let's see how this goes. Well, let's play Blizzard Belgaza's dead. Not sure exactly how it happened, because I was kind of inside him and lost track of what was going on, but at least now we can just go back into our usual tactic on Abasi here. Oh, we got a nice chain into him there. Hopefully we can build up another chain pretty sharpish. And at least we've got Shulks charging things on a vision. That's real nice. I'm not even going to bother doing anything about that. I think we should just kill him at this point. Oh, crap, I missed the thing as well. Well, he's toppled and we'll kill him now. Again, these are... Because you fight them with, like, 3, like, in a row and also with multiple at the same time, these are toned down stat-wise from the actual true super bosses. So, there we go. Should be fine. Oh, we got an S. Nice. Spicy. And we get a kind of Power Boosters L set for Fiora. Which I guess I'll show off as well, because I think that's one of our older ones, the Power L. Look at that. Absurd. So, do we have enough Nop on Stone to trade for him something here, or do I need to do something else? Excellent! I can trade another Black Liver Bean off him. We needed 2 of these for the reconstruction of Colony 9, but we also need a few more for what I'm doing next. Well, 1 more. So, let's finish off the Collectopaedia. So, I am missing a couple of things. In the central factory, I was missing a warrior screw, but I found one last episode in Colony 6, which was dead handy. So that completes that one. Talent Boost, that's the other talent boost. It would have been handy to have that a bit earlier, because Talent Boost is the one that halves your auto attack damage, but increases how much it cracks up your talent art, which is handy. And a Machina Driver, great. Then a couple of other ones to do is just... oh yeah, but I just feel that Bionis Interior is based on where you first come across it, which is after Magna Forest, even though you can't actually get any collectibles in Bionis Interior at that point. So we've got one more to get, which is called a Sarsaparilla, and they're a fairly common one, but you can only get them from walking around and grabbing collectibles. There's no one who trades for them. You know what? Let's enter this way. We can do this. We can go in from the heart and go back out that way. We'll reverse through it. Speed her on, please. No, sneezing fit from the cat. You okay? Oh, what have you inhaled? Aha, there we go. Right, not gem crafting. Collectopaedia. Let's finish that off. So, completing veg, that gets us haste 5, which is actually pretty nice. I've already got a couple of them kicking around though. And the Z speed goggles, which we already have some equivalent of those kicking around. Anyway. Cool. You may have noticed that one of the things I'm not going to go through is appearances. We've got almost all the appearances, but some of these odd ones that are missing around here are from either some are from the DLC, and some are from things that you can only get by just buying them from Nop on Stone, and it is not worth me grinding Nop on Stone to show off the appearances. I've shown off every type of armor, basically. There's just some color swapped palettes to them, but that ain't worth it. We have got a bit of extra Collectopaedia to finish, because that was all of the normal ones, but don't forget there is the other Collectopaedia. We've got a part and a strange that we're missing. Let's start by getting the strange. This one is the hardest to get, and this is the reason that you basically can't complete the Collectopaedia, including the other section, until you are at the end of the game. So, at night time, do you remember we did a we did a quest with someone who was brewing a love potion, someone called Gerald along here, a high end tier. There was weird smoke coming out of our house. You can trade that love potion off her. But in order to do that, first off you need to find the bloody person. Where is she? Well, that's what the affinity chart is useful for. I reckon she's out and about. Oh, there she is. I swear I just walked past. There. Oh, she's up on the balcony now. Well, if we trade with her, then she will trade us the love source. But look at that trade value, 56,000. There is only one item you can trade for this. You need to have Ricky and Shulk's trade bonus, and then you need to give her a Veritas glyph. The only source of Veritas glyphs is the super bosses. They are the only things that can get you it. And despite fighting all 5 of the super bosses, we only got 2 of these, and we actually need to get 2 love sources. Why did I get a bonus that time? Sorry, I didn't last time. Well, either way. So, what does the love source do? It is part of the other Collectopaedia, so we'll slap that in for now anyway, because it goes here. Wait, what did I... Did I just do something extremely stupid? I am concerned that I did. When's my last autosave? Oh no, I didn't. What the hell did I trade for that then? I thought I traded her a Veritas glyph for something stupid. Don't trade with Mephi, fuck off. I don't know what I did there, but I didn't trade anything for the thing, so... Oh, I traded my love source for a love source. Well, sure. Yeah, because I can trade stuff that's worth less than the amount it is that's actually doable. So now we have 2 love sources. There we go. So, if we slap one into the Collectopaedia first, then it goes in here, we should have 2. And that completes the strange part of the other Collectopaedia, which gets us a critical up 5. Pretty handy. Would be really handy for beating the super bosses, except you need a Veritas glyph from it. So, you know what you can do, I never had to do this, is you can get stuff from the earlier super bosses that helps you with the later ones. If you need love sources, grind Final Marcus, really. The other advantage of a love source is you notice if we gift between party members, let's gift from, Shulk to Fiora, sure. And it tells you, how many hearts each thing gives, assuming you've given it at least once. If we go into Strange, the love source, wherever it is the only thing which gives 4 hearts, so it gives a maximum boost to affinity. It's not great for grinding affinity because you have to grind out Veritas glyphs for it anyway, but even just doing it gets us an achievement, Love at First Bite, for having someone use it on someone else. Finally, we need to head to the Watchtower, because that's actually where we get our... Nothing was stopping us until relatively recently doing this final one, but I kind of wanted to do it at the same time as the Love Source. If we head up here, then at the top, we do not have the person here I thought was here. Maybe he's not at the top of the Watchtower then. Maybe he's just somewhere around. In fairness, when it says Watchtower, that can actually be a massive area. This thing's pointing me at Shilks. Right. Again, using the affinity chart tracking function is very handy here. Also, here's a fascinating bit. This guy up here, Ernest, who used to lie to people for fun, the only person who has absolutely 0 affinity links in my affinity chart. I think if I talk to some people, I might connect it, but I have nothing connecting him to anyone else, because he's a dick. Oh, he's not at the Watchtower. My notes are just wrong, turns out. So up here, I'm slowly closing on him, and it's Alexei that we did stopping the elopement with. And indeed, hey, he's coming over to see his now wife, Zell Argentis. There we go. But we can trade with him for the Golden Cog, which is our final bit of other. Let's change some... Why am I preserving things at all? This is literally the last episode. Let's slap that into the... Oh, yeah, there we go. Shining in Practicality. I thought you had to put it into the Collectopaedia in order to get that, but no, turns out you just have to collect it. But let's slap it in. And that completes parts, which gets us XP up 5, that's alright. And what do we get for doing all of the other Collectopaedia? Aggro down 5. Pretty underwhelming. Do we even get an achievement for it? Yes, we do. Stamp of Insanity. For collecting all that mad shit. And this brings me on to what we're looking at next, which is achievements. Let's see if we've got all of them. We almost fucking have. Look at that. What haven't we got in achievements then? Let's find out. Be sociable with Nop on a frontier village. There's some Nop-on we haven't spoken to. That's just wild. I'm not going to do it, but that's wild. And, developing affinities is talking to everyone after having done everything. And all the times to build up all the affinity links. Fuck doing that. But other than that, we've got all of the achievements, which is pretty good. I'm just going to go through the ones we haven't got. I'm not going to, grind them out or anything, because that's silly. See, also these trials are, defeat 50 enemies, 200 enemies, 1,000, and then I believe it's 10,000 enemies. Give me a second, I've got a list of them here somewhere. 5,000 enemies for Please No More, which we haven't got. What else are we missing here? Smash innumerable vision tags. So that's smash 1,000 vision tags. Who knows how many we've done? More than 100, less than 1,000. See also, stop the future in its tracks 50 times. We can't be that far off changing the future in that way. Reviving 500 incapacitated party members. Performing a shit ton of chain attacks, 10,000 chain attacks. That's called Team with a capital T, which is quite good though. I keep thinking there's a higher one than this, but the highest one is do a chain attack of 100,000. I always think this one for 500,000, but there isn't. Then, what is this here? Being killed 50 times, as in party fades to black, which we've not done. I guess that's good. And then this one about arts. That would be state of the art, raise all of one character's arts to the maximum level. Which we haven't done, because there's a load of arts I don't use. And getting expert level art books is really annoying, because you just have to... They're just rare drops from annoying monsters. What's this? Burst Affinity 2,000 times. Not done that. Defeat an enemy 10 levels higher than the party. Have I not? I must have done that. I've done the fucking super bosses, you lying bastard. Nonsense. I don't know what that is then. Maybe they don't count for it. Bizarre. Harvest 500 ether crystals. Not done that. Make a rank 5 ether crystal. Oh no, that one you have done. Obtain 77 rare ether crystals. What an oddly specific... Well, I can see why, but yeah, haven't done that. Stamp of Insanity, by the way, wasn't for... I've just checked. Isn't for completing the other. It's completing the entire Collectopaedia. Yeah, I haven't received support bonus for every character. Oh no, I have done that one. Yeah, fill up the cylinder gauge 9 times in one crafting session. I could probably do that with Fiora, I just haven't. This is an interesting one here. It doesn't even tell us what it is. It's called Happy New Year, which is play through more than a year's worth of game time. So play through 366 days in the game. I'm glad I haven't done that. It'd be fascinating to see how many I have done, but it won't tell me. But that's an interesting one. Then it's funny because they still talk about the Battle of Sword Valley being a year ago, when technically it's 2 years ago at that point, which is very funny. Anyway, that is the remainder of the achievements. Final thing I want to do before moving on to something else, what a useless phrase, is maps. I'm going to check that we've got all locations on all maps. Tephra Cave, yes we have. It took us a long time to get Tephra Cave, but we did. See also Bionis Leg. Colony 6, obviously you get that quite easily. Ethermine, definitely. Satoral Marsh. Let's see if we haven't got it, if there's anything we haven't got. Well, I should have got all of them, because I've been trying to get them as I go along anyway. Hopefully I've got Sword Valley and Galahad Fortress and all the Mechonis ones, because otherwise I ain't getting them. Technically missable, but also not something that most people would count for completion, but I do. Yep. Every map got. Wonderful. So, final thing to kind of talk about, well, there's a little bit extra stuff, but the final big thing to talk about is New Game Plus. Let's head to the title screen. I don't think I'd ever really shown before these. If you let the title screen play, you get a lot of these flying shots of areas. I'll actually show them off a little bit later in the episode. There's something we're going to do. So, we'll talk about it here first. New Game Plus. Various things carry through from your save file to New Game Plus, and some things don't. Here are things that carry through to it. Your character levels, so we'll start at level 99 for everyone, your arts and the amount you've leveled them up, skills and affinity coins, your affinity levels from your party, your gold, items physically equipped onto you at the end of the game. Some of these ones are different between regular and definitive edition. Previously it was 30 weapons, 30 armors, and 60 materials, but in definitive edition, no limit on any of those. All items in your party except for key items, achievement records, but not trials. So, like the ones which are like, do 100 chain attacks, those ones do carry through, the other type don't. Everything you've done in the Collectopaedia, the Monado 3 that Shulk only gets from killing Xander at the end, progress through tutorials, any treasure chests kicking around on the field are still out there now, and Nop-on stones and any of your time attack rewards that have been purchased. Things that don't carry through to your New Game Plus are key items, the other type of achievements, the completion through affinity chart, heart-to-hearts, quests completed, maps and landmarks, unique monsters beaten, Colony 6 reconstruction, time attack challenges unlocked, and purchasable items from time attack unlocked. It's worth noting that affinity coins can be re-earned, so normally you can only get affinity coins from affinity coins by beating a unique monster for the first time, so that means that really limits the amount you can get in one playthrough. This resets all of that. And everyone except Fiora starts with their equipment setup that you've got on them from the end of the game. I think it's from the point you beat Zanza, but it might be from the point you actually reload it. We'll find out. That's because Fiora in Colony 9 and Fiora on the Fallen Arm and onwards are different characters. So when you get Fiora back on the Fallen Arm in your second playthrough, she'll be equipped as she was, but Colony 9 Fiora won't be. With that, let's show off what some of it looks like. So if we go on New Game Plus, and we build it off this thing, let's watch the battle between the Bionis and the Mechonis again.
In a boundless sky.
God, this looks so much better in this version.
As far as could possibly be imagined.
Doctor, if you're fancying being posh, do like a side-by-side comparison of how this looked in the original version versus definitive edition. That'll be fascinating. It's the lighting mostly, but it's just the sense of scale works very well.
The Bionis.
You can see little Telethia flying around the Bionis there. I knew that already. I just obviously at the beginning of this game didn't want to point that out. And also, yeah, the thing he's wielding, the Bionis is wielding, looks like the has the fallen arm being cut off. And look, hey, it lands in the shape of the fallen arm, obviously. But yeah, the sword of the Bionis looks like exactly like Shulk's Monado that he gets at the end, kind of the Monado 3, which is quite cool.
The Titans were locked in a timeless battle.
Horrifying to think there's like Machina in Agniratho at that point.
Until at last,
that's quite something.
Only
now, pay attention to this next cutscene, because things are going to look a little bit different. So first off, you'll notice that Dunban is not in the normal battle gear he wears at this point, but he's actually dressed as we had him when we finished the game. So he's in his suit. Dixon also not in military gear, but is in his Hulk Hogan outfit.
a good idea.
And you'll notice Mumka is in his Mechon form, rather than, again, Hom's military. So these guys are all in kind of like endgame forms.
Or we could stay and fight.
Also, again, pretty grim to think about how these two are going to colossally betray Dunban in different ways.
Take a stand here. With this, the future is ours for the taking.
It's also weird that he talked about this without knowing that the Monado has anything to do with changing the future.
Well, I say you're coming with us. What would we do without those?
Indicates clause that you can't see. And so interestingly now here, Dunban appears... So we act as if we have the Monado, and we're doing a lot of damage to these, but also Dunban's just got his regular weapon and all his kind of old arts. We can't actually activate the Monado in any way. Does it get me a chance to look at the other two? No, it doesn't, nor can we switch party. But we can see them fighting, interestingly, and they very much fight as they would. That was fun. Obviously, we will absolutely power through these. But there's just one more thing I want to show in New Game Plus.
The joint section.
So note that Shulk is not only, again, also in his final armor, but also he has the Monado 3. Let's skip to the fight, and I'll show off one final thing. So yeah, see, achievements, landmarks are all new this time. So, obviously, yeah, Ryan comes as he is, and now if we look at everyone's arts, they are all as they are. You've got Shulk's got all of the Monado arts he had access to, and everything, which is all well and good. Throughout the entire playthrough, if you were to do it again, Shulk doesn't get or lose the Monado at any point. He will just always have it. Oh, the Catabile is there. It didn't even start a fight with me, but I still need to defeat it in order to get out of here. That's funny. Finally, as well, we have the ability, which we never got in the game, to set an appearance for Shulk's sword. And it still acts as the Monado, even if you make it the junk sword, which is quite good. But you go, yeah, the Monado 1, the slightly pointier Monado 2, notice the difference between those. Then the original replica Monado, the Agni, the Abyss, the Saga, the Dogma, the Rudra, the Monado 3, and the Monado replica EX. And that we will be dealing with in the... what's it called? In the DLC, which will be coming at some point before too long. Two more things to do. First off, we are going to talk a little bit about statistics. You know me, I love my stats. This has been my biggest series by a huge margin, and I'd just like to go through some of the stats on it. So Xenoblade Chronicles has been 114 episodes, which beats out Mass Effect 2, which is my longest series, at about 78-ish, I think, including bonus episodes. And also much, much longer. Mass Effect 2 was 27 hours and 42 minutes, whereas this is a whopping 61 hours and 9 minutes of actual edited down content. About 2.5 times bigger. The amount of content is wild as well. The total number of files, so in terms of what I've got as raw footage, that comprises 3,997 files and a total of 703 gigabytes of raw footage. Of that, 2,931 files are just visualizer elements, and 661 gigabytes is my kind of raw footage. The average episode was about 26 minutes, as you can see on this graph. Other than that one right at the right is the weird trend-bucking one, which is the Heart-to-Heart episode. This episode is not featured on it, but yeah, averaging around 20 to kind of 25 minutes. This graph shows the amount of time I recorded versus played versus edited. And as you can see, the edited down stuff, so it was about 61 hours, but I recorded about 110 hours, and I played over 125. So for every bit of footage you're seeing, there's almost twice as much stuff going on behind the scenes, and that's not even counting the time it takes me to edit this. Recording took place over 30 recording sessions, which on average were about 3.5 hours here. This graph shows, the length of recording sessions. Some were short, only being less than an hour, and there were a couple that were 5.5 or 6 hours. I was usually getting about 5 or 6 episodes out per recording session. Sometimes I only got 1 or 2 from several hours of recording, so there we go. You know me, love my stats, couldn't have finished off a series this size without going deep into the statistics of it all. Finally, I want to talk about a thing called Xenoblade The Secret File Monado Archives. This was a document that came with the versions of the game in Japan. It was only ever released in the West. Only 1,000 copies of it in France were ever released. But translations of it are available online, and it's quite interesting. It's got a lot of interviews with the developers. It's got artwork and descriptions of some of the areas and some of the concept stuff. It has got a really thorough, like, encyclopedia of the game of, like, where you get things, like, arts and all of that. It's pretty thorough and has actually fed into the Xenoblade wiki quite a lot. And interesting, it also contains some stuff from fans, because this was only released a little bit later. So it contained, for example, the results of a poll of Japanese people about what their favourite cutscene was. And the winning one was the cutscene between the showdown between Dunban and Mumkar at Sword Valley. Not Sword Valley, at Valak Mountain, actually won, with Shulk and Fiora being reunited on the Fallen Arm, and Shulk first using the Monado against Metalface being second and third, respectively. But what I want from this here is there's a story in it. A little kind of hidden story, which explains, amongst other things, the process of Fiora getting her body back. So, I'm going to basically show some of the footage from the title screen, interspersed with some stuff I've recorded, while I give this kind of final story just to close out the entire series. The world of Bionis, a land that stretches across the body of an enormous god. Situated on its right calf is Colony 9, a settlement that for the dwindling members of the Homs race. It's said that there once existed about 10 colonies in all, most of which were destroyed in Mechon attacks. Colony 9 had enjoyed thus far because of its fortuitous distance from the Mechonics. Although falling detached bits of the Bionis body proved it posed an occasional threat from above, there was no question that this colony was a peaceful, precious haven for the Homs. For Ryan, Dunban, Fiora, and Shulk, this was their one and only home. Hey Shulk, got a minute? Dean, a researcher at least 10 years older than Shulk, called out to him inside the weapon development laboratory. He'd come to Shulk long ago for help too, hoping Shulk could act as a matchmaker between himself and a widow he had fancied. It seemed Dean hadn't changed a bit during Shulk's long absence, however. This is set sometime after Mechonis Core, but before the end of the game, so you know. Dean continued to speak, unaware of Shulk's thoughts. I don't know much about this sort of thing either, actually. Dean continued to speak, unaware of Shulk's inner feelings. But because Dean was his senior and because he needed to help, Shulk couldn't rudely turn him away. Instead, he answered as always. That doesn't sound good. Dean's request turned out to be a simple enough talk. Compared to being sent into monster-filled caverns or being sent up and down the Bionis countless times, this trivial little errand was nothing at all. I'm glad everything worked out, Shulk said. Dean nodded at him with a beaming smile. Despite his poor sense of humour, he was a good-natured person deep down. Shulk climbed the staircase in the lab and stepped into the military district outside. Evening enveloped the sky. Shulk hadn't been able to finish his research today either. Not necessarily because of Dean, though. His goal was basically a wild goose chase to begin with. I'm certain what Leonardo said is correct, but... Drearily, Shulk crossed the military district. The streets filled with day workers heading home while the Self-Defense Force soldiers took up their positions for night duty. That's interesting, it's called the Defense Force. The Self-Defense Force is what Japan calls its military, so there might be a bit of a translation thing there. As he watched people come and go, Shulk was suddenly overcome by a feeling of déjà vu. There was a time when the people were at constant war with the Mechon. Colony 9 was nothing more than a rearward base at the time. However, most of the fighting against the cold metallic invaders from Mechonis took place on the Sword Plains. There were occasional rumours of stray Mechon wandering into Gal Plain, but not even those posed any concern for the colony itself. Those peaceful days wouldn't last, though. That day, swarms of Mechon launched an assault on Colony 9 from their new intermediary base in Colony 6. The sudden raid shattered a peace that had lasted a little over a year. It also marked the beginning of Shulk and his friend's journey. Now, Colony 9 was prepared for battle against the Telethia, creatures that could soar freely through the air and strike from anywhere. They existed solely to reap all the life from any of the living beings on the Bionis. There was no escape from them. The people toiled day and night to fortify their defences against the Telethia, yet somehow, regular everyday life had returned to the town. It wasn't exactly the same peacefulness as before, but the seething anger that had filled the air immediately after the Mechon invasion was nowhere to be felt now. Everyone's grown so strong. Even this town has. Yes, even the town. Just as a person can toughen his or her mind or body, so too can a town grow stalwart. The people of Colony 9 had gained the strength to live their everyday lives while remaining ever vigilant. Shulk breathed an inner sigh of relief. He and his companions would soon have to head to the Bionis interior to do battle with a god. A final battle from which there was no turning back. Before doing so, however, they decided to tend to unfinished business, ensuring they would have no lingering regrets. The party's journey had yielded many findings, including some that the weapon development laboratory could utilize. Putting this information to good use was one of Shulk's unfinished tasks. The Machina, natives of the Mechonis, had used their technology to create a replica Monado for him. If more could be made, then the Homs could gain an extraordinary fighting edge. Dean, both surprised and ecstatic, began to examine the data Shulk had provided. Metalware had always been his area of expertise, not cabbage rolls. Shulk also had one other goal, a glimmer of hope that the Machina Dr. Leonardo had given him. No matter how slim the chances are, this was something he was determined to do. But unlike with the replica Monado task, this was something he hadn't told anyone else about. Shulk left the military district, crossed the central plaza, and made his way to the residential district. He greeted the artist Kenny Rohan as he passed by, but was ignored. Sesame was finally awake, but not seemingly awake enough to recognize Shulk. After making his way past shops that opened for the night, Shulk finally reached the city's entrance. Translation note: the above path seems indeed to be slightly strange in the Japanese version, unless Shulk tried to take a really long path around the colony for some reason. Oh yeah, because otherwise you went residential and then out the commercial. Odd. There stood Dunban and Fiora's house. Dunban had chosen this location so he could rush to the scene of an emergency faster than anyone else, should disaster strike. Shulk opened the door and passed through countless times since he was a child and entered the home. Fiora's home-cooked food was amazingly good. The camp food she had made throughout the journey was fairly tasty too, of course, but finally being home again with her familiar spices and ingredients helped her unleash her full potential. Shulk, who had arrived late, was thoroughly enjoying the food. Fiora was delighted to see this as she prepared more to eat. Visitors were once common to Dunban's home. Besides Fiora's childhood friends Shulk and Ryan, Dunban's war buddies Mumkar and Dixon were also regular visitors, as were Colonel Vangar and Lieutenant Colonel Kantz of the Self-Defense Force. But after the Battle of Sword Valley, the only people who ever came to see Dunban were get-well visitors. Much time had passed since then, however. The old war buddies who'd once sat at the dining room table were now replaced by Sharla, Ricky, and Melia. The sight of the lively dinner gathering warmed Shulk and Dunban's hearts. At least until the food on the table ran out. "Hey, Pops, that was my food! I need plenty already! Ricky deserves to eat for her working hard all day! I'm the one who did all the work! All you did was spew poison and fire from your behind! It burned up lots of calories! Ricky need to refill, or else dizzy, Ricky said, stuffing his mouth with energy aubergine. Dunban was dumbfounded. How on Bionis can you fit all that food into such a tiny body? Ryan and Ricky began chasing each other around. Charlotte could only shrug her shoulders. Honestly now, it looks like you both could use a cooldown. Melia calmly made her way to the kitchen. I don't mean to rush you, but we ought to serve the next dish now. This commotion around the dinner table is unbearable, Melia said as she picked up a serving dish. Wait, that stew is for you, Melia, Fiora said without turning around. I'll serve Ryan and Ricky's in a minute, she continued while stirring a pot. I've already had my fill. You needn't put me ahead of the others. Oh no, that's not it. I just set some aside just for you before I added Ryan's favourite spicy cabbage. Indeed, Melia wasn't very fond of spicy cabbage, but her way of life had never allowed her to be fussy about food. She had always been taught from a young age that it would be shameful for a member of the imperial family to be picky about food, especially food offered by the citizens. Ryan had once shared some spicy cabbage with her on Garaplane, and she courteously ate it all. Ryan had meant no ill will by it, of course, he just was simply being friendly, although she did feel a tinge of murderous rage when he gave her a second helping with a big smile. Was that a bit presumptuous of me? Fiora timidly asked. No, not at all, thank you. You've really loosened up, I must say. It's nice. You're much more open and candid now. Melia wasn't sure how to respond to this casual remark. She wasn't necessarily offended, but having been raised by the less direct Hyentia, she was still unaccustomed to this sort of language. That said, Melia admired Fiora's ability to openly express her emotions, both pleasant and unpleasant alike. Lately, Melia found herself thinking, I wish I could be like her. I wonder if I even can. Okay, big eaters, here's some more food to tuck into. This has tasty sausage and Piranha's belly meat, so it should be very filling. Ricky and Ryan's eyes immediately lit up. For real? Oh, Ricky loved Fiora. Ricky let Fiora rub later. Apparently the two could be friends as long as there was plenty left to eat. Ryan poured some stew into Ricky's plate, and the two began to eat, side by side. You ought to eat up too, Melia, before it gets cold. Oh, yeah. Melia picked up her plate and sat at the table. She took a spoonful and brought it to her mouth. It's delicious. Without the hot cabbage, the stew was light in flavour and perfectly suited for her Hyentia palate. This was the first meal in a long time that Melia genuinely, truly enjoyed. She savoured the flavour as she took another spoonful. That night, Melia was awakened from her sleep by a muffled, anguished cry. Melia sat up in her bed and looked out the window. Ether light twinkled in the darkness of the night, indicating that daybreak was still far off. Makeshift beds had been set up for Melia and Charla in Fiora's old room, on the first floor of Dunban's home. Fiora, of course, slept in her own bed that had always been there. Charla was snoring heartily in the next bed. As expected, Fiora was the one in pain. Melia stood up and went over to her. She's enduring another painful night. Truthfully, Fiora's moaning had woken up Melia up several nights in a row, but there was nothing Melia could do for her. She wasn't sweating in her sleep, nor did she have a fever. In fact, there was nothing visibly wrong at all. Fiora's body was most likely experiencing some sort of technical problem that only Leonardo would understand. Melia took Fiora's hand and thought fervently, I wish I could do something. She felt a concern for her friend's well-being, as well as a sense of powerlessness, and a seething anger, followed by unfocused frustration. Just then, Melia glimpsed a familiar figure outside the window. It was Shulk, who was supposed to be asleep upstairs in Dunban's room. Where is he going at this hour in the night? Melia sent her unfocused rage in Shulk's direction. Every night she had held Fiora's hand as she moaned in her sleep. Melia did this because there's nothing else she could do. But shouldn't Shulk have been doing it instead? Of course, it made no real difference if it was Melia's hand or Shulk's hand. The hand wasn't going to magically cure Fiora's physical problems. Melia was fully aware of this, but reluctant to accept it. Although now they're in the safety of a town, there was no telling when Although they were now in the safety of a town, there was no telling when a Telethia might strike. Melia donned her defensive equipment and set out after Shulk. He was headed back into the research lab he'd holed himself up in during the day. Shulk went straight to the lab. Once there, he began searching a bookshelf for something, unaware that Melia was watching him from the doorway. He appeared to be looking through very old paper documents. On closer inspection, the room was absolutely littered with similar texts. He was likely to continue the research he had begun during the day. Shulk's passion to achieve what needed to be done was always his strong suit. His sincerity had saved Melia before, in fact. The replica Monados he was now working on would undoubtedly save many lives. Even so, Melia wanted to shout at him. Saving others is a wonderful thing, but how can you blindly ignore the nightly suffering of a single person? Shulk had no idea that Melia was in the lab with him, or that she harboured such anger. His thoughts were focused entirely on the biotic regeneration device. The biotic regeneration device was a piece of ancient Hyentia technology that Leonardo had told him about. No one among the present-day Hyentia knew how it worked, but it could supposedly free Fiora from her suffering. Not even the Machina could recreate the device, but there was a chance one still existed, somewhere out there, in working order. Trusting Leonardo's words, Shulk poured through the Sacrament research team's records. The team members, including Shulk's parents, had investigated the ruins of ancient civilizations scattered across the Bionis. Shulk hoped that the device might have been mentioned somewhere in their findings. So, whilst working on the Replica Monado mass production project, he also continued to contend with the piles of books and documents. Melia emptied the room, oblivious to the thoughts going through Shulk's mind. Shulk, what are you doing here? Melia! Unfortunately, Shulk was just about to move a heavy bundle from the top of a bookcase. Taken by surprise, he lost his balance and fell onto the floor, right on top of Melia. The weight of decades of research became a literal, physical weight as tome after tome came crashing down on their heads. Look out! Shulk, hoping to shield Melia from the avalanche of texts, covered Melia's body with his own. Then it happened. Melia speaks to the verification device. As successor to the Imperial line, I hereby order that control be yielded to me. Dunban looks away. He doesn't want to be seen crying. It seems as if It appears we're in your debt once again. Ryan answers with a laugh. You can count on me. I'll protect Shulk until then, I promise. Come, this is the right decision for you to make. Please enter the device, Leonardo urges. And then Fiora smiles with a look of resolve. What's wrong, Shulk? Colour returned to the world. At the centre of it was Melia, on the verge of tears. Melia, where am I? He saw his familiar lab, with documents scattered everywhere. After a moment, Shulk realised that his senses had returned from a short trip to the future. Oh, I see, that was... Melia trailed off. She finally realised that Shulk hadn't passed out while trying to protect her. Instead, his special ability had been activated. Did you see the future? Shulk nodded and began to explain what he'd seen. Leonardo had been talking about the biotic regeneration device, which was exactly what he was looking for now. In front of her stood Fiora. She was surrounded by the others, who all seemed happy. And then Melia used her identification to open a door that led to a room with the device. In short, it was the thing you've been researching. Yes, there's supposedly a device somewhere on Bionis that can change Fiora back, and now I know where it is. Then, the colour of realisation spread across Melia's face and then transformed into joy. Yes, it's all thanks to you, Melia. The biotic regeneration device is here in Colony 9. You're the one who showed it to me. Melia launched herself onto Shulk's back. That's wonderful, Shulk. Melia's elation was followed by a tinge of regret. Shulk had been concerned for Fiora after all. She realised that she had been remiss to have ever doubted him. Shulk's party, now joined by Leonardo, who had quickly arrived from Junks, now stood in the Magmel ruins. This ornamentation, I've seen it in the Imperial capital before. Melia was struck by a feeling of déjà vu. For what she saw bore a strong resemblance to an Imperial underground building. These are no ordinary ruins. They're the innards of an ancient Hyentia flying machine. Leonardo's words stunned Shulk and his companions. For the Colony 9 self-defense force, these ruins have been a convenient source of ether cylinders, as well as a handy training spot full of monsters and defense systems. Turned out, however, that the ruins were actually the interior of a flying machine that likely crash-landed long, long ago. They developed their own unique technology, different from the Machinas. The biotic regeneration device is one such example. The fact this system is still in such good condition suggests the regeneration device might be still intact too. The party stood in a storage hangar, the same one from which Shulk and the others had used to retrieve ether cylinders. At the back of it was a sealed door. Melia stepped towards it. As successor to the Imperial line, I hereby order that control be yielded to me. Long ago, this flying machine had belonged to ancient Hyentia. Its defense system, after years of faithfully protecting this vehicle as ordered by its former master, now acknowledged Melia as the new operator. And then, for the first time in centuries, maybe even millennia, the sealed door opened. The party continued further inside, unhindered by the defense system. And there it was, just as Shulk had seen it in his vision of the future, the biotic regeneration device. That's it. No question about it, Shulk said. Leonardo nodded in agreement. There sat a system of complicated-looking equipment, centered around a transparent capsule large enough to fit a person. Dunban looked at the device and stuttered. Then this device can give Fiora her body back? Yes, I believe so. I see. It appears we're in your debt once again. Shulk tried not to look as Dunban turned away. He knew from his vision of the future that Dunban didn't want to be seen weeping. Can this really turn me back? Fiora whispered with a dubious expression. Leonardo laid a hand on her shoulder and whispered, Yes, it can. Although your body is a machine now, you still have parts of your biological form. This system will use genetic data to reconstruct your original body. Oh, Ricky not understand, but this make Fiora squishy, and then she give Ricky snuggles. Fiora giggled. Of course. Although she smiled at Ricky, she seemed faintly hesitant. Charla picked up on this. What's wrong? Is something the matter? Well, it's just... How long will this regeneration take, Leonardo? Leonardo fiddled with the control panel when she answered. For your body, I believe half a year should do. Half a year? Fiora's face turned grim. Ryan swung his right arm around her and smiled as he tried to cheer up. Half a year, huh? Oh, you can count on me. I'll protect Shulk until then, I promise. Come off it, Ryan. You know I don't need your protection. It'll do just fine. Come on, this is the right decision for you to make. Please enter the device, Leonardo said, opening the capsule from the control panel. Take a nap in here, and half a year later, your body will be as good as new. But Fiora held her right hand to her chest and smiled with a lack of resolve. No, I'd rather not. From atop the hill leading to Tephra Cave, Shulk and Fiora looked down at Colony 9. Are you really sure about this, Fiora? Stop asking the same question over and over. Ugh, Shulk, you're always that way, Fiora replied. Unlike Shulk, Fiora now felt completely free from her worries because she'd made the firm decision that she wouldn't go into the regeneration device. For now, at least. If Fiora were to regenerate her body now, she'd have to sleep for half a year. The god probably wouldn't wait that long. The Telethia were set to eradicate all life on the Bionis. Shulk and his friends needed to slay the god, slay Zanza, before that could happen. Before that could happen, even. But if Fiora went into the regeneration device, then she wouldn't be able to help them fight. I've made up my mind. I'm going to fight alongside you in this body. I can always change back later. It's like I said before, I'd rather fight by your side than stay behind and worry. Leonardo felt conflicted. There was no telling how long the coming battle would last, and there was no guarantee that Fiora's body would last that long without her Monado. But explaining this wouldn't have changed Fiora's mind in the least. In which case, there's only one thing Leonardo could do as a doctor. Very well, if that's what you want, then I'll make sure your current body keeps going as long as possible. I'll give you every extra minute and second I can. Ryan and Dunban stood side by side, looking down at the streets below them. Let's come back here for sure, Dunban. Indeed, and once the battle is over, we can get Fiora her old body back, and all live here together. And Shulk nodded at their words. Yes, because this is our home. And so Shulk and his companions set out for the cave on their way to Gower Plain. Behind them, standing as it always was Colony 9, their once and only home. So yeah, that just kind of fleshes out the details a little bit of how kind of... It has a nice little moment of the kind of the meal that's going on, and also just kind of fleshes out, if you will, how Fiora kind of got her body back. And on that note, we're going to end the main series on 114 episodes. And there's not really much more I can say. We've done it all. I'll be back in a little bit to do the DLC. Before then, though, we're going to have a other little series in between. I'll follow this up with a trailer for that. But God, if you've watched all of this, I'm extremely impressed and somewhat concerned because you're clearly a very sad person. But thank you for watching. For one final time, this has been Xenoblade Chronicles, and thank you very much. Good day.